Hi, it's Nolan Hames, and I want to show you PowerPoint's new image editing tools, hot off the presses. They're still working on this. They're still going to update it and refine this tool, but let me show you what we have now. The first big tool that we've been asking for years is an actual workable, usable background removal tool, and we now have that. So I've got this image of a bird over a pretty clean background here. We're going to go to picture format with it selected, and over here at the top left you have these tools. Now, these are all going to take you to basically to the same place. You'll notice we have the old icon here. They may update that eventually. We'll click remove background. If you click this, it'll actually start the process for you. Again, it'll take you to this image editing UI here, and it'll send it to the cloud, do whatever, but it's already working on it. It's already doing its magic, deciding what the background is. This may take longer with more complex images, but in this case, I think it did it pretty well. So I'm going to go down here and click save. So it will now save a transparent PNG version of this image, and again, I think it did it pretty well on this shot. You do not have the ability to sort of back out of this because unlike the traditional artistic effects and background removal, this is destructive. It's not non-destructive, so make a copy of your image if you're in doubt, if you maybe want to go back to the original at any point. So that's background removal, but it actually gets a lot more powerful. Let's take a look at this image under picture format. We're going to actually go down to, we'll go to erase, and that will, again, take us to the same UI. This is where we can just click here, like just click the elements of this little boat here, and we could, there it is, we got everything there. And we could go into erase, or we could go into move. Now, if I do erase, it's going to do it pretty well, but in this case, let me click move. And what's going to happen here is it's going to take whatever I had selected and put it on its own layer that is now movable and editable. So you can see we've got the handles there, and I can just move my boat around and it fills in the background. It did it really well there, I think. So I'm going to move that over there. I can resize it, or I can right click and I get a whole bunch of options here. Like I can have flip, I can flip this horizontally, then I can come back here and maybe I'll duplicate it once, maybe I'll right click this and duplicate it again, maybe I'll make that small, put that in the background, make this big, put it in the foreground, and I like what it did, so in this case I'm going to click save. And it will go back, we'll go back to our slide, and we now have, again, a destructive image. So we have a brand new image. We don't have the old one, but again, I think it did it pretty well here. And again, I could cut that out. I could just remove the whole background and then have it two pieces, in which case I could add shadowing and doing other things, up to you, but we've got a lot of tools here. The last one I want to show you is enhancement. So I've got two copies of the same image here, but they're kind of washed out, kind of low resolution. Let me select the one on the right, go to picture format, and in this case I'm going to go to edit picture here. Again, it'll bring up the same dialog again. In this case, I want to click enhance, right? So I'll click enhance. That now gives me a few options here, including effects. We're not going to do those, you can play around with those, but I'll click auto enhance, and that's going to go through and relatively quickly actually, fix the contrast and the colors and everything. And I think compared to what I had, we have this slider here, I think it did a pretty good job. So let me click accept on that. But my image is still a little blurry. I wish it was a little crisper. No problem, go back to enhance, and this time we're going to go to upscale. Right, we'll click upscale, and this one is going to take longer. You don't have the control. Basically, you have no control. It's either do it or don't do it. So we're going to let PowerPoint do what it thinks it wants to do to this image in the best way it can. And again, this one is going to take a little bit longer. But there it is. All right, so again, we got our slider here, and I want you to pay attention to the camera and the license plate here. And as we roll over it, you can see they get so much crisper here. So at the bottom, it'll show you what the pixelization, the size is, and how much it upscaled it. Again, no control over that, but I like this, so I'm going to click accept up here. Then I'm going to click save at the bottom. And that will bring me back to my slide, and we can now compare the original to the one on the right. I think a far, far better image. Again, your mileage may vary, but these are great tools. Edit your images. Don't ever have to leave PowerPoint. You can do a lot more now.